Is it my little squirrel bustling about?
Yes?
When did my squirrel come home?
Just now. Come in here, Torvald, and see what I have bought.
Don't disturb me. What did you say? All these things. Has my little spendthrift been wasting money again?
Yes, but Torvald, this year we can really let ourselves go a little. This is the first Christmas we have not needed to economize.
Still, we can't spend money recklessly.
Yes, Torvald, we may be a wee bit more reckless now, mayn't we? Just a tiny wee bit. You are going to have a big salary and earn lots of money.
Yes, after the new year. But will be a whole quarter before the salary is due.
Pooh, we can borrow till then.
Nora, the same featherhead. Suppose, now, that I borrow £50 a day and you spend all of it, Christmas this week, and then on New Year's, a slate fell on my head and killed me.
Oh, don't say such horrid things.
Still, suppose it happened. What then?
If that were to happen, I don't suppose I should care whether I owed money or not.
Yes, but what about the people who lent it to?
They? Who would bother about them? I should not know who they were.
That is like a woman. But seriously, Nora, you know what I think about that. No debt, no borrowing. There can be no freedom or beauty about a home life that depends on borrowing and debt. We two have kept bravely on the straight road so far, and we will go on the same for the short time longer that we need to any struggle.
As you please, Torvald.
Come, my little skylark. Ma, you must not droop your wings. What is this? Is my little squirrel out of temper? No, what do you think I've got here?
Money?
Ah, yes. There you are. Do you think I don't know what a lot is wanted for housekeeping at Christmas time?
10 shillings, a pound, 2 pounds. Thank you, Torvald. That will keep me going for a long time.
Indeed it must.
Yes, it will. But come here and let me show you what I have bought. And all so cheap. Look, here is a new suit for Ivor, and a sword, and a horse and trumpet for Bob, and a doll and doll's bedstead for Emmy. They are very plain, but anyway, she will soon break them in pieces. And here are dress lengths and handkerchiefs for the maids. Old Anne really ought to have something better.
And what is in this parcel?
Oh, no! You mustn't see that till this evening.
Very well. But now tell me, you extravagant little person, what did you like for yourself?
For myself? Oh, I am sure I don't want anything.
Yes, but you must. Tell me. Something reasonable that you would particularly like to have.
No, I really can't think of anything. Unless, Torvald.
Well?
If you really want to give me something, you might.
Well, out with it.
You might give me money, Torvald. Only just as much as you can afford. Then one of these days I will buy something with it.
But Nora.
Oh, do, dear Torvald, please do. Then I will wrap it up in beautiful gilt paper and hang it on the Christmas tree. Wouldn't that be fun?
What are little people called that are always wasting money?
Spendthrifts, I know. Let us do as you suggest, Torvald, and then I shall have time to think what I am most in want of. That is a very sensible plan, isn't it?
Indeed it is. That is to say, if you were really to save out of the money I give you, and then really buy something for yourself, but if you spend it all on housekeeping and any number of unnecessary things, then I merely have to pay up again.
Oh, but Torvald...
You can't deny it, my dear little Noel. A sweet little spendthrift, but she uses up a deal of money. One would hardly believe how expensive such little persons are.
It's a shame to say that. I really do save all I can.
That's very true. All you can. But you can't save anything.
You haven't any idea how many expenses we skylarks and squirrels have, Torvald.
You are an odd little soul. Very like your father. You always find something new way of wheedling money out of me, and as soon as you have got it, it seems to melt in your hands. You never know where it has gone. Still, one must take you as you are. It is in the blood, for the need it is true that you can't inherit these things, Nora.
Ah, I wish I had inherited many of Papa's qualities.
And I would not wish you to be anything but just what you are, my sweet little skylark. But do you know, it strikes me as you are looking rather, what shall I say, rather uneasy today.
Do I?
You do, really. Look straight at me.
Well?
Hasn't Miss Sweet Tooth been breaking rules in town today?
No, what makes you think that?
Hasn't she paid a visit to the confectioner's?
No, I assure you, Torvald.
Not been nibbling on sweets?
No, certainly not.
Not even a bite of macaroon or two?
No, Torvald, I assure you, really.
There, of course I was only joking.
I should not think of going against your wishes.
No, I'm sure of that. Besides, you gave me your word. Keeping your little Christmas secrets to yourself, my darling. They will be all revealed tonight when the Christmas tree is lit, no doubt.
Did you remember to invite Dr. Rank?
No, but there is no need. As a matter of course, he will come to dinner with us. However, I will ask him when he comes in this morning. I've ordered some good wine. Nora, you can't think how I am looking forward to this evening.
So am I, and how the children will enjoy themselves, Torvald.
It is splendid to feel that one has a perfectly safe appointment and such a big enough income. It's delightful to think of it, isn't it?
It's wonderful. I am not speaking about business matters. I say that we have never sat down in earnest together to try and get at the bottom of anything.
But, dearest Nora, would it have been any good to you?
That is just it. You have never understood me. I have been greatly wronged, Torvald, first by Papa and then by you.
What? By us two? By us two, who have loved you better than anyone else in the world?
You have never loved me. You have only thought it pleasant to be in love with me.
Nora, what do I hear you saying?
It's perfectly true, Torvald. When I was at home with Papa, he told me his opinion about everything. And so I had the same opinions, and if I differed from him, I concealed it because he would not have liked it. He called me his doll child, and he played with me just as I used to play with my dolls. And when I came to live with you...
What sort of an expression is this to use about our marriage?
I mean that I was simply transferred from Papa's hands into yours. You arranged everything according to your own taste, and so I got the same tastes as you. Or else pretended to. I'm really not quite sure which. I think sometimes the one and sometimes the other. When I look back on it, it seems to me as if I had been living here like a poor woman, just from hand to mouth. I have existed merely to perform tricks for you, Torvald. But you would have it so. You and Papa have committed a great sin against me. It is your fault that I have made nothing of my life.
How unreasonable and how ungrateful you are, Nora. Have you not been happy here?
No, I have never been happy. I thought I was, but it's never really been so.
No, not happy.
Nope, only merry. And you have always been so kind to me, but our home has been nothing but a playroom. I have been your doll wife, just as at home I was Papa's doll child, and here the children have been my dolls. I thought it great fun when you played with me, just as they thought it great fun when I played with them. That is what our marriage has been, Torvald.
There is some truth in what you say, exaggerated and strained as your view of it is. But for the future it shall be different. Playtime shall be over, and lesson time shall begin.
Whose lessons? Mine or the children's?
Both yours and the children's, my darling Nora.
Alas, Torvald, you are not the man to educate me into being a proper wife for you.
And you can say that?
And I, how am I fitted to bring up the children?
Nora.
Didn't you say so yourself a little while ago, that you dare not trust me to bring them up?
In a moment of anger, why do you pay any heed to that?
Indeed, you are perfectly right. I am not fit for the task. There is another task that I must undertake first. I must try and educate myself, for you are not the man to help me in that. I must do that for myself, and that is why I am going to leave you now.
What did you say?
I must stand quite alone if I am to understand myself and everything about me. It is for that reason that I cannot remain with you any longer.
Nora.
I am going away from here now, at once. I'm sure Christine will take me in for the night.
You are out of your mind. I won't allow it. I forbid you.
It is no use forbidding me anything any longer. I will take with me what belongs to myself. I will take nothing from you, either now or later.
What sort of madness is this?
Tomorrow I shall go home. I mean, to my old home. It will be easiest for me to find something to do there.
You blind, foolish woman.
I must try and get some sense, Torvald.
To desert your home, your husband, and your children, and you don't consider what people will say?
I cannot consider that at all. I know it is only necessary for me.
It's shocking. This is how you would neglect your most sacred duties.
What do you consider my most sacred duties?
Do I need to tell you that? Are there not your duties to your husband and your children?
I have other duties just as sacred.
That you have not. What duties could those be?
Duties to myself.
Before all else, you are a wife and a mother.
I don't believe that any longer. I believe that before else I am a reasonable human being, just as you are, or, at all events, that I must try and become one. I know quite well, Torvald, that most people would think you right, and that views of that kind are to be found in books, but I can no longer content myself with what most people say, or with what is found in books. I must think over things for myself and get to understand them.
Can you not understand your place in your own home? Have you not a reliable guide in which manners such as this? Have you no religion?
I am afraid, Torvald, that I do not exactly know what religion is.
What are you saying?
I know nothing but what the clergyman said when I went to be confirmed. He told us that religion was this and that and the other. When I am away from all this and am alone, I will look into that matter too. I will see if what the clergyman said is true, or at all events, if it is true for me.
This is unheard of in a girl your age. But if religion cannot lead you aright, let me try and awaken your conscience. I suppose you have some moral sense, or answer me. Am I to think you have none?
I assure you, Torvald, that it is not an easy question to answer. I really don't know. The thing perplexes me altogether. I only know that you and I look at it in quite a different light. I am learning, too, that the law is quite another thing from what I supposed. But I find it impossible to convince myself that the law is right. According to it, a woman has no right to spare her old dying father or to save her husband's life. I can't believe that.
You talk like a child. You don't understand the conditions of the world in which you live.
No, I don't. But now I'm going to try. I'm going to see if I can make out who is right, the world or I.
You are ill, Nora. You are delirious. I almost think you are out of your mind.
Never have I felt my mind so clear and certain as tonight.
And is it with a clear and certain mind that you forsake your husband and your children?
Yes, it is.
Then there is only one possible explanation.
What is that?
You do not love me anymore.
Nope, that is just it.
Nora! How can you say that?
It gives me great pain, Torvald, for you have always been so kind to me, but I cannot help it. I do not love you anymore.
Is that a clear and certain conviction, too?
Yes, absolutely clear and certain. That is the reason why I will not stay here any longer.
Can you tell me what I have done to forfeit your love?
Yes, indeed I can. It was tonight, when the wonderful thing did not happen, and then I saw you were not the man I had thought you.
Explain yourself better. I don't understand you.
I have waited so patiently for 8 years, for goodness knows. I knew very well that wonderful things don't happen every day. Then this horrible misfortune came upon me, and I felt quite certain that the wonderful thing was going to happen at last. When Krogstad's letter was lying out there, never for a moment did I imagine that you would consent to accept this man's conditions. I was so absolutely certain that you would say to him, "Publish the thing to the whole world," and when that was done...
Yes, then what? When I had to expose my wife to shame and disgrace?
When that was done, I was so absolutely certain you would come forward and take everything upon yourself and say, "I am the guilty one."
Nora!
You mean that I never would have accepted such a sacrifice on your part? No, of course not. But what would my assurances have been worth against yours? That was the wonderful thing which I had hoped for and feared, and it was to prevent that I wanted to kill myself.
I would gladly work night and day for you, Nora. Bear sorrow and what for your sake. But no man would sacrifice his honor for the one he loves.
It is a thing hundreds of thousands of women have done.
Oh, and you think and talk like a heedless child.
Maybe, but you neither think nor talk like the man I could bind myself to. As soon as your fear was over, and it was not fear for what threatened me, but for what might happen to you, when the whole thing was past, as far as you were concerned, it was exactly as if nothing at all had happened. Exactly as before, I was your little skylark, your doll, which you would in future treat with double gentle care, because it was so brittle and fragile. Torvald, then it dawned upon me that for 8 years I had been living here with a strange man, and had borne him 3 children. Oh, I can't bear to think of it. I could tear myself into little bits.
I see. An abyss has opened between us. There is no denying it. But Nora, would it not be possible to fill it up?
As I am now, I am no wife for you.
I have it in me to become a different man.
Perhaps. If your doll is taken away from you.
But to part from you? No, Nora, I can't understand that idea.
That makes it all the more certain that it must be done.
Nora, not now. Wait till tomorrow.
I cannot spend the night in a strange man's room.
But can't we live here like brother and sister?
You know very well that would not last long. Goodbye, Torvald. I won't see the little ones. I know they are in better hands than mine. As I am now, I can be of no use to them.
But someday, Nora, someday.
How can I tell? I have no idea what's going to become of me.
But you are my wife, whatever becomes of you.
Listen, Torvald. I have heard that when a wife deserts her husband's house, as I am doing now, he's legally freed from all obligations towards her. In any case, I set you free from all your obligations. You are not to feel yourself bound in any slightest way, any more than I shall. There must be perfect freedom on both sides. See? Here is your ring back. Give me mine.
That too?
That too.
Here it is.
That's right. Now it is all over. I have put the keys here. The maids know all about everything in the house, better than I do. Tomorrow, after I have left her, Christine will come here and pack my things that I have brought with me from home. I will have them sent after me.
All over, all over. Nora, shall you never think of me again?
I know I shall often think of you and the children and this house.
May I write to you, Nora?
No, never. You must not do that.
But at least let me send you...
Nothing. Nothing.
Let me help you if you are in want.
No, I can receive nothing from a stranger.
Nor can I have anything more than a stranger to you.
Ah, Torvald, the most wonderful thing of all would have to happen.
Tell me what that would be.
Both you and I would have to be so changed that... Oh, Torvald, I don't believe any longer in such wonderful things happening.
But I will believe in it. Tell me it's so changed that...
That our life together would be a real wedlock. Goodbye.
Nora! Nora! She's gone. The most wonderful thing of all. We're done.
Hi, I'm Patrick Garland, the director, and I'm here with the author, Henrik Ibsen. It's great to have you here today, Henrik.
Thank you.
Henrik, the first thing I'd like to ask you is, where did the name A Doll's House come from?
Well, I came up with the name A Doll's House because Torvald in the novel treats Nora quite like a doll, basically. She's pampered, she's very controlled. It's almost, he just has this controlling grip over everything that she does, everything that she spends her money on, all of that. So I just thought that A Doll's House would be an appropriate name for this kind of book and the relationship that Torvald and Nora have.
So, Henrik, in your play, how does it deal with identity, social expectations, and gender?
Well, the fact is that social expectations, for the most part for women are portrayed less than men, as you could clearly see throughout my play. And Torvald completely showed that over Nora. Nora was, degraded. She was completely secondhand in everything, in all the decisions and everything.
Things like, she was told, she can't eat sweets.
She can't eat sweets, it's bad for her teeth. Yeah. How she spends her money, how she does all that. And the way that I deal with identity during the play is that, over the course of the book, Nora starts to form her own identity, which is unlike women during the time period. Mm-hmm. And she finds herself becoming more independent from Torvald, making her own decisions, trying to live her own life.
More like a man of the period.
Yeah, more like a man of the period.
She did business transactions. She got a loan. She's making her own decisions. She's paying out money, doing her own finances because she's figuring out how to spend some of the money she gets from Torvald, and the rest has to go to the loan she's paying off. So she's managing money and doing things that most women at the time,
of course, because
were not
Torvald
responsible
never showed her how to do any of this, because he always handled that. She had to teach herself, which is, very unlike a woman, and it made for a very interesting setup in the play. Mm-hmm. I feel.
Henrik, in what ways does your play mirror society?
Well, during the time period, men expected women to obey them in every sense of the word. To cook, and do housework. And during the early stages of the play, Torvald and Nora was a basic relationship of the time period. Nora was very much the woman.
Subservient.
Subservient of the family. Nora was a basic, housewife during the time. She, cleaned and wanted to obey Torvald at all costs whatsoever. And during the time period, women also had no social standing. They couldn't have any money. They couldn't own any property. They really had no, for the most part, no legal rights. So, the fact of the matter is that very little was expected of women, and you can't really, and that's just how it was back then. It can be a little bit cruel, but that's just how society worked back then.
And I'm sure that part mirrored society, and you would think that her doing something like getting a loan and doing her own money is unlike a woman of the time.
That is completely unlike.
But there must have been some women of the time that were doing such things as that, because there's always someone doing it. You would expect some women who were able to, become more independent than were expected of them at the time.
It's very rare, but yes, there are always those few women who feel the need.
Exception to the rule.
Yeah, who always want to rebel against society, basically, and although they
want to be more equal to men.
Yeah, they feel that they deserve more for themselves than men, and that can lead to the fact of possibly becoming an outcast in society, but also feeling more equal by yourself and becoming more independent. And it gives you a greater probably feeling of, okay, now I'm more equal with the male in society.
Henrik, what elements from your play are realistic?
Well, the fact that there are many complex ethical choices involving mostly Nora, I would say. The fact that she had to give up leaving her children because she didn't want to corrupt them in any way, because she felt that she hadn't been a good influence on them.
Even though she's compelled as a mother to want to raise her children.
Yeah, she always feels, as a mother, she always would want to stay and love her children, but she just can't. She couldn't take herself. She didn't feel that her children needed to be corrupted like that. And also just leaving Torvald in general, just walking out on him, becoming independent of him, growing away from him.
Even though that probably would mean social suicide back then, because without a man, it's hard to own property.
Without a man, a woman in society is basically nothing.
Nothing. You don't have a home. You probably can't get a decent job.
You don't have no legal rights anyway. There's also the idea of maintaining a reputation, which is what Torvald is so consumed with throughout the play, of maintaining his reputation as the dominant partner in the relationship.
Even if it means when he finds out what Nora had done, of giving her up until he decides that, when he finds out that Krogstad isn't going to do anything, then he's, fine, because he'll take care of her. But before that, he only cares about himself and his reputation, and he was willing to sacrifice Nora.
Yeah. That's especially in the end scene. He was so upset with Nora and what she had done that he was all so consumed with himself and what was going to happen to him, his reputation, that he
being very selfish.
At that point he was selfish, and Nora had enough, really, and his reputation had gotten the best of him by that point. The importance of class also plays a role in the novel.
That arises very often in the play.
Yeah, that arises quite often, especially in the beginning scene. Torvald took a new job at the bank, getting more of an income. Nora feels the need to go out and spend more and feel more lively and more, feel a little bit better about herself than what they had felt in the past. since they had a little bit of a rough start. She really just wanted to go out and not have to economize like she had done in the past, because that's what they constantly had talked about. And Nora always said, "Oh, we can afford to let ourselves go and everything this
Just,
year."
just a bit.
Yeah, just a bit. She didn't want anything crazy, but of course Torvald was having none of that.
Yeah.
So.
And her intentions at that point, which were unknown to her husband, were, very good, because she was trying to get more money out of him so she could pay off the debt she had accrued to save his health. But
Yeah.
he was not wise to that till later in the novel.
Yeah.
But to us, that seems very noble of her, that
Yeah.
she took all that upon her to.
To
save
him,
her
it's
husband.
nothing. To the reader, it's a very noble act and something that someone should be proud of, should be happy for.
Someone
should be thankful
in
for.
love, someone married to someone should, be willing to make a sacrifice like that for their
And
significant other, and he feels, later on that
he just doesn't
that
care.
he doesn't understand.
Really,
that.
he doesn't have any understanding of her intentions really whatsoever. He doesn't take any interest in her and her motives and everything.
Yeah.
The importance of class constantly comes up throughout the play. The last major aspect of realism that I would like to discuss in this play is the unreliability of appearances. Throughout the novel, we start out with solid impressions of what we think that character is like, and by the end, those impressions are completely false. They've changed dramatically, especially with Nora and Torvald. Nora, first impressions, silly, childish, pampered. Torvald, first impressions, powerful, demeaning, very maybe condescending in a way.
He's a very strong individual.
Strong individual.
Knows what he wants.
As the play progresses, you see the drastic change in both characters. Nora is actually quite an intelligent woman. She's very motivated to, for sacrifices, and Torvald is actually, for the most part, quite clueless. He
doesn't see what's going on, even though it's right under his nose. Even when Krogstad is seen leaving his house and he questions her about it, doesn't push into it. He doesn't, question her anymore. He kind of lets it go. We also see near the end, when he turns into a coward, when Krogstad may reveal him, and he might ruin his reputation. He actually is a very petty man and very selfish. Even though in the beginning we thought, he cared a lot about his wife, but it seems not to be so true at that moment.
Yeah, very consumed with reputation, and Nora is very strong-willed and becomes very independent by the end, and we see that the unreliability of first impressions in this is, maybe one of the most important realist characteristics of this book.
Because in real life, nothing's ever as it seems. People are always hiding something.
Yeah.
People, always act on the outside different than they usually are underneath.
Yeah.
But by the end, we definitely see the true colors of both these characters, and it's quite a polarized difference than how they start off the play. It was wonderful having you here, Henrik. It was good of you to come.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.